Remember, young Midoriya, it's not just about saving people to be a hero. This is about the Mets, yes, let's go! Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime back for another action figure review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the My Hero Academia McFarlane Toys AllMight. And yeah, let's just get right on into it by starting with that packaging. And while we're here looking at the packaging, I did want to mention I did get this guy at Ross for a very discounted price. And we got AllMight's face right there. Always love his cel-shaded look that he always has in the anime. It says AllMight 12+. Says AllMight right there, Funimation, on My Hero Academia, and then on the back got some artwork and then just other figures that are available in their McFarlane Toys line of My Hero Academia figures. Maybe I'll look at those, maybe I won't, I don't know. I kind of don't care. Into the trash you go, villain! And I've really got to hand it to McFarlane Toys.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay?
They did not nail his accessories that well. And all these hands are totally not a pain to freaking get on. AllMight here does come with a nice pair of relaxed hands, a pair of fists, and that's it. I mean, technically AllMight does also come with this little display base with the My Hero Academia, logo on it, but that doesn't really count. And while we're here taking a look at some of the up-close details on AllMight, I guess we'll bring up the elephant in the room that his face kind of looks weird. In the anime, looks fine. 2D drawing looks great. It's got that like cel-shaded animation, which has that slight, comic book kind of cel-shading look to it. But when made into like a 3D action figure, it looks a little unsettling. Also, is it just me, or are his cheeks just a little too puffy? Definitely one of the things that I appreciate about this figure is how they nailed the hair here. Thankfully, these hair strands are made of a very pliable hair, like plastic material, so I'm glad that they're not going to be falling apart anytime soon. They are a little bit pokey, same thing goes with the back hair, but yeah, looks fine. I don't mind it too much. And overall, the rest of the body actually has some really good paint apps. There's been a lot of people who have gotten this figure and complained about how some of the white and red doesn't really come out too much, but thankfully mine actually doesn't look not that shabby. There is a little smudge spot right there, but I mean, it's barely even a complaint. He still looks completely fine. And one thing I also wanted to mention, when I got this figure out of the box, for some reason he felt greasy. For some reason he had like this like lubricant or like some like weird like lubricant all over his shoulder, and it just felt so disgusting. I literally had to take like a paper towel and like wipe him off, and then it felt normal. Also, one other issue I wanted to address out of the box now that we're here as well. This elbow was super tight out of the box, and I actually had to go in there with a knife and heat it up with a hairdryer and actually get this elbow to bend, where before it felt like I was going to rip his arm right off. So thankfully, I got it all fixed. It bends like normal. It is nice and tight, but it's not tight enough that it feels like I'm going to rip it off. So thankfully, this guy doesn't really have any issues. Now, before some of you guys bring it up, yes, I am a fan of My Hero Academia. I have been a fan for a little while, and overall, I think the show is pretty good. I even have read some of the manga.
You're a weeb, Briximus.
Hey now, there is a difference between fans and weebs. Fans, follow up with the show, they read some of the extended materials, they get posters, they have shirts, and so on and so forth. Weebs have that and body pillows. Also, one other thing I wanted to bring up about this guy, I actually have handled this figure once before buying my own copy from Ross. A couple of friends of mine have also owned this figure, and one of the complaints and issues I had with the figure when I was messing around with theirs is that some of the shoulder joints were either too loose, they were too tight, or there were joints that felt like they were not flexible enough, and so it felt like I was going to break the figure. Like, he just didn't feel great. It felt like if I was going to bend some of the joints a certain way, I was going to break the figure, or I felt like I was going to move some and it'd fall right off because it's too loose. But thankfully, my copy that I managed to buy actually feels really good. Like, it's actually one of the best feeling just McFarlane Toys figures I've had in general. Just like, the quality control with the joints, all of the The painting and sculpting also looks great as well, because that was something that also surprised me, is that a lot of people complained about how theirs were missing paint, or some felt like there was blue bleeding through the white and red, or something, but like mine actually looks really good. The only issue I do have with mine is this guy's leg was stuck like this in the box the whole time, so while stuck in that box, it did warp that little bit of the boot right there, but honestly, you didn't really notice it until I pointed it out, right? Right? Going over AllMight's posability, he has a ball joint at the head, which is a little limited. It doesn't really allow him to look up, but he can look down a little bit. He can swivel his head from side to side. A little bit of head pivoting. Shoulders obviously have this nice extra bit of joints in there, which allows for his shoulder to rotate, allows it to move outward that far, and it does allow for a little bit of some butterfly joint movement and all kinds of stuff in there. He does also have a bicep swivel, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. The wrists can swivel and they can hinge up and down. If you rotate the peg, it does allow them to get some side-to-side action. He does have a ball joint here at the top of the diaphragm and one at the base of the waist, so it allows for all kinds of movement here, like swiveling, arching back, crunch, and side to side. His hips are also on some hinge joints, which allows for him to hinge forward, hinge back a little bit, but his ass kind of gets in the way.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
He has a good spread, and then he has a limited thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and then the ankles can move up a little bit and down a little bit, and if you rotate to that, they get some ankle pivot, and then finally he gets some tight toe articulation. And with the posability combined with the few accessories and, just the looks of the figure, it does present a very nice figure. I still just feel like he's lacking in a variety of accessories. It feels like all you're really going to do with this figure is him, like, punching stuff, where it feels like AllMight does a lot more than that throughout the show. I feel like part of that complaint of the lack of things to do with him is also the fact that you kind of need some other figures to put with him, either like, him like fighting against an all-for-one, or him, fighting up against a villain, or maybe even him having a pep talk with Deku. Here's taking a look at the previous My Hero Academia McFarlane Toys figure I took a look at, the powered up or full cowling Deku figure that I took a look at a little bit ago. And yeah, I still think Deku is a little bit too tall here for this comparison. I felt like AllMight was a lot bigger, and yeah, I just feel like Deku should have been just a little bit shorter. Seems a little too tall compared to AllMight. And then here he is compared next to my little desk toy AllMight, or Small Might. And that is basically it for my review on the McFarlane Toys My Hero Academia AllMight. And yeah, honestly, the figure is pretty simplistic. There's not really much to say. I mean, he looks like AllMight, he poses fine. It's just me personally, I got lucky that mine turned out fine with all the nice joints and everything, because like I said, I have handled this figure before, and it was very rickety and very sketchy those other couple times that I've messed around with it. Thankfully, mine just turned out to be okay. I did have to fix the elbow and a couple other issues, but again, they were fixable, so I'm not really going to hold it against the figure. Now, I only got lucky. There are some other complaints, and the quality control on McFarlane Toys, especially for My Hero Academia, is out of control and it needs to be fixed. AllMight's face sculpt looks so good, I can practically just hear his voice just coming out of there.
Eat this!
I honestly don't have much else to say about this figure in particular. It is a very simplistic figure, and if I had to give him a rating, I honestly give him a solid 7 out of 10. Because, again, I'm taking a point away just because it's like, I'm mad that some people can't enjoy this figure like how I have. Because, again, a lot of the AllMights that other people have gotten have been kind of, like pieces of crap. And so, overall, I also took a little bit away because I did have to fix a couple of my own issues. But overall, I think he's a completely fine figure. So anyway, that is basically it for this review. If you guys enjoyed it, give me a like on the video, comment below what you guys think. Subscribe for more quality YouTube videos, or I mean, shizzy YouTube videos, whatever you want to call them. And I'll catch you guys next time!